All right. Hello, everyone. So I am Dabney J. Weathersby, Insights Lead here at Handshake, and I'm joined by the awesome Vicky from Product. We are both absolutely excited to be here with you to discuss our new product updates and what that means for you in this new and modern recruiting landscape. And so today is about what's next for early talent recruiting, but more specifically, what's changing and how high-performing teams operate. And so this isn't just a product work walkthrough, it's a shift in how we want you to really think about quality, speed, and prioritization. And so let's level set. What we consistently hear from employers is not that they lack applicants, it's that they're under pressure to really hire high quality talent faster, evaluate AI ready skills earlier, and really justify every dollar spent. Application volume is up. Skills are evolving faster than job descriptions, and recruiting teams are expected to do more with fewer resources. And so, this is not just a volume problem, we'll call it a quality and risk problem. And so, the question here is how do you identify the right talent in all of the noise? And as we all probably know, early talent isn't just what we consider entry level anymore. So 57 by 2030, excuse me, Gen Z will make up about 30% of the workforce. 57% of seniors use Gen AI weekly, and 73% of employers say that entry-level candidates are more comfortable with emerging tech than their senior employees. And so this generation is essentially arriving with more technical fluency than the generations before. If you prioritize well, they will add immediate value, but if you don't, of course, you will miss the boat. And so, what this is designed to show you here is that this is something that is much bigger than just a trend. And so, you'll see on the graph to the right, right? Computer science absolutely jumps from 30% to 40% in AI mentions, and that's absolutely expected. But what's more interesting is the growth across business, engineering, communications, and other majors to which are not a part of your technical fluency majors. AI fluency is no longer just isolated to our technical tracks, right? It's really spreading across early talent pipeline, which is really important to know. Overall, you have AI mentions in resumes have doubled since 2021, and the class of 2026 is signaling that these skills are at twice the rate of the class of 2022. That means that the baseline skills profile of entry-level talent has essentially changed. The opportunity isn't just reaching candidates, it's truly identifying and prioritizing the ones who are already building these strong capabilities. And so, as we go through this presentation, we want to ensure that we're helping you with first targeting and connecting, and then we'll also help you understand what that means to measure that those candidate pools. And so, at a high level, right, Handshake really brings everything you need to reach and hire early talent in one place into your pipeline. And so, you can target the right students using verified academic data, manage jobs, events, and outreach in a single workflow. Build your brand where students actually start their careers and really measure what's working in real time. And so, together, this will help your teams attract, engage, and convert early talent more efficiently with less manual work. And to talk a little bit more on how we target and connect candidates, I will flip over to Vicky, who will talk you through this a little bit more.
Thank you, Daphne. Hi, folks. I'm Viggy. I am a principal product manager on our employer product team, and thank you for your time. Super excited to kind of talk about some of the things we've been building for you. So one of the things that we have consistently heard from a lot of like large employers like you specifically is you're kind of running into not just like a volume problem. Yes, there are some roles where you want more applicant volume because it's harder to hire, but the bigger problem is, how do you kind of get the right quality, like the right qualified candidates for the roles that you're hiring for, people that meet requirements for a lot of specific skills that you might be hiring for, like your roles that you're hiring for. And then as students, Davni shared this a second before, students are building up more AI skills. They are updating this in their profiles. They're updating this in their resumes. Schools are pushing them to actually have this updated on their Handshake profiles. So we're kind of thinking through like, how do we build a set of tools that gives you access to like all of this information and kind of, empowers you into sourcing the right candidates. So I'm excited to share a couple of products that are live and we're super excited to get that going. So the first one is hiring intelligence. So you can kind of think about this as, traditionally the flow is you come to Handshake, you would list your job. That includes like a job description. You can, list some parameters for like what qualification means to you. With hiring intelligence, you can kind of start doing stuff that's a lot more smarter. So in addition to listing your role, you can now actually, when you go into the matches tab after you've listed your role, we will automatically extract what hiring criteria we have read from your job description. You will be able to explicitly see these hiring criteria as part of, the UI for the hiring criteria. And then you can provide a lot of feedback. You can say, hey, I care about skill X more. I care about skill X less, right? And like that gets updated as part of your hiring criteria. You can also do this at a candidate by candidate level. So when we find and rank candidates as part of the sourcing experience, you can say, hey, candidate 1, 2, and 3 works really well for me. 4, 5, and 6 don't work. And the reasons they don't work is because they don't have this particular skills, right? And then when you provide this feedback, we are basically taking this feedback on a pretty instantaneous basis. And you can like in a matter of a second see an updated result of matches in your sourcing tab that basically tells you, hey, here is a new set of people that takes into account all of the feedback that you've provided us. Right. So this is kind of like the layer of intelligence we've been trying to build so that, you are much more empowered to give us feedback. We can incorporate that feedback and kind of help you source the right qualified candidates for your job. And then more importantly, we want this to be, when you provide feedback about a particular role's fit, we want this data to kind of be like stored as part of this job information. And we want it to be accessible for you in other parts of the employer product that we use. So I'm really excited to talk about the second part of this, which is promotions. Like I would think about promotions as like more, scaled sourcing product. Like if you want to still do a lot of hands-on, the sourcing experience kind of gets you there. If you're like, hey, I want to give Handshake a lot of feedback, I want to tell you what fit means for me, and then I want Handshake to kind of go do a lot of the hard work for, reaching out to the right candidates. So the way promotions works is you come into a UI. I'll show you the UI in a second. It's like 3 clicks to set up your promotion and promote a job. We basically take your job, and then every time a student is, appearing in any of our high intent surfaces, so our biggest surfaces on the Handshake platform are job search, unsurprisingly, because students come there to look for jobs. And then inbox is our second biggest surface. And we're planning to introduce more and more surfaces as we go. But whenever a student comes in here, we will automatically surface your jobs. And again, we will surface jobs to the candidates that match your qualifications based on some of the criteria for fit that you have provided as part of the hiring experience and as part of a job description, right? So it's like an incredibly simple and straightforward way to get a lot of qualified applicants at scale. And we've been running this as a beta program with about 100 employers for the last 3 months, and it's like coming out of beta pretty shortly in the next week. So we've had like pretty incredible results across employers and like pretty solid like subjective feedback as well from all of the employers that we worked with. On an average, we've seen somewhere like 2x increase in like qualified apply starts that these jobs get over the duration of the promotion. And then the thing that is also really interesting is it's not just a volume. It's also like a lot of, on an average, these jobs had about 70% increase in applicants that had never considered applying to this employer before. Right? So if you think about this, when you are doing targeted campaigns, targeted sourcing, like you're often targeting like very specific parameters for who meets your criteria. But by being able to kind of provide us this input flexibly and then us serving these impressions on your behalf when the right qualified candidates are on high-intent services, it's actually also helping the aperture of who would consider your job so that it actually gets you a lot more qualified applicants as we go. So I'm going to take a second to show you what the experience for creating a promotion looks like. So let's switch over to the demo and then we'll come back to this. Okay, so this is a demo account. So this is not an actual employer's information. So I'm going to show you how this works. So there is a promotions tab within the employer experience. You click a button, which is create promotion. You pick a job, you pick dates, and you pick a budget, and you click schedule promotion, and it's done. It's designed to be intentionally simple. So you pick a job, pick dates, pick a budget, click on schedule promotion, and your promotion is now instantly running from this moment. And then what happens when your promotion runs? Let me show you an example of some data. So this is the kind of like near real-time analytics. So we update this every 3 hours. So we would basically show you, hey, how many people were served promoted impressions? How many people actually ended up clicking on promoted impressions for your job? And then how many people actually ended up applying to your job as a consequence of this? And then this is again updated like every 3 hours. So it's like kind of real time and gives you a lot of real feedback on how your promotions are doing. Again, meant to be sort of like 3 steps, fairly simple and straightforward to do so that you can still provide us a lot of input as part of the hiring intelligence criteria and your job description. But also, if you choose not to be as hands-on, this kind of gets you more outcomes at scale. I just want to finish with maybe like a quick case study of what happened with one of the beta customers. This was like a pretty large healthcare IT company hiring for multiple different functions of early career roles. We ended up promoting about 8 of their jobs across a diverse set of job role groups, and this employer saw somewhere about 1,000 apply starts over the duration of 2 weeks. The part that is interesting is like a couple of things. One is the stat here, which is about 68% of their applicants had never applied to the company before. So kind of what we were talking about, this product kind of helps you reach a broader aperture of people, but broad not just in terms of reach. What we also saw was that in addition to this breadth, they were now their applicants who qualified all of their criteria that their setup was somewhere in the tune of like 70%. So we've kind of like intentionally designed this in a way where you can provide us a lot of feedback. If you want to use hands-on control, you have the hiring intelligence and the sourcing tools that helps you do that. But if you want to just translate this experience, translate these like fit requirements and tell us, hey, Handshake, like go make this happen at scale. Like promotions kind of helps you do that with just like 3 clicks to get going. So with that, I will pass it back to Dabney, who is gonna talk a little bit more about, as you use these products, like how do we actually measure the success? How can you measure like how these products are working for you? After you, Dabney.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vicky. It's always awesome to see what we can do with promotions and how our employers can leverage them. So, to that degree, we talked about targeting candidates with leveraging promotions, which is exciting. But above targeting, how can you also measure your success? And we want to discuss how to do that, but specifically with insights. And so Insights has gotten an exciting new update designed to be always on and self-serve, allowing you to really get access to data and answers quicker. With our Insights dashboard embedded into your Insights tab in-app, you will now become equipped with an executive overview section to really provide your leadership team with an at-glance look at the activity and the outcomes of your use of the platform. You'll also see a deep dive into the engagement channels that really gets into the why and how and when from brand health. Let's think job discovery, messaging outreach, events, and fairs. And so there's no more guessing which channel is going to be more effective or is more effective, or where there are true opportunities. You can really sit down and be in the driver's seat, which is really exciting. And so this is always on reporting, no waiting, there's no guesswork. And I'll take you through some of the sections to understand what's shared. But of course, at the end, I too will show you a live demo so that you can see it in action. And so the first is our executive overview. And so this executive overview is really designed for leadership visibility. It gives a really clear snapshot of your performance. We'll think about pipeline growth, engagement trends, outcomes, all in one place. So you're not just seeing activity, you're not just seeing data, you're seeing progress against your goals. It'll also allow you to understand how you're trending over time, and importantly, how you compare against peers operating in the same space. That context truly matters. It really tells you whether you're leading, you're keeping pace, or falling behind. So then we can work together to really understand what should be a next step. And this is how you justify spend and you really defend strategy. And so instead of explaining what your team has been doing, you can really show what it's driving with data that leadership can really truly understand. And so this is where recruiting shifts from activity to accountability. With the engagement channel insights, you can truly break down performance across messaging, promotions, events, and content, again, all in one place. Instead of assuming what's working, you can actually measure what's working. And you can see which channels are actually driving engagement, which efforts are converting into applies, and where you're potentially losing any momentum. And most importantly, this allows you to really measure ROI of your recruitment efforts and share those results with your broader organization. And so, whether that's leadership, we're thinking maybe finance, or any of your hiring managers, you're no longer saying, we think this is what works. You actually have the data to show the impact with data. And so, that's what really elevates recruiting from execution to where we want to drive towards strategy. And lastly, what I can imagine can be a favorite for most, this is our school insights. This is where recruiting becomes strategic. You can really evaluate school level ROI, benchmark against peers, filter by division or recruiter. And so you can really get this level of insight from a school perspective when you want to organize your core school strategy or just truly understand where are you having the most ROI from specific schools. This truly sharpens your investment strategy. And so without further ado, I will do a live demo and show how that looks like live in product. All right. And so when you first get into product, you will have the opportunity, of course, to look at dates, any type of schools you want to filter for, majors or class year. For right now, we'll just leave these dates and these parameters as is. But what you'll see first is that you will get your welcome, your greeting onto the platform, but it'll also show below how it's organized. And so this is organized in three sections. It's by executive overview, our channel insights, and our school insights, all three of which I will show you throughout this demo. And then you'll also have quick tips so that you can understand how to really navigate through the dashboard so that you're not navigating solo. But additionally, you can also continue to reach out to your CSM so that you can have more of a deep dive look so that you can really know how to really navigate the dashboard and you'll be equipped with support. And so as we look here, we can click the buttons below to navigate each section. As we said below, as we said above, there's three sections. Let's first start with looking at our executive overview. And as you look here with the exec overview, this is where you want to understand how are you performing across the entire funnel. And this is where you get to understand how have our inputs really translated into outputs. You'll see that you'll look at your candidates reached, and above that, for every tile, you'll also see what that looks like between periods. So here we're looking at year-over-year changes. You'll look at your candidates reached, the number of candidates that have actually engaged, and then you'll look at your candidates applied. And so understand that these can be different metrics that we may not be totally familiar with. If you tab over, you'll see the info link here. You'll be able to see when we say candidates reached, what does that mean? When we say candidates engaged, what does that mean as well? So then you can also be equipped with the types of metrics that we're using and of course what the language means there as well. To the right is then where you're able to see, because of the inputs that we've put into the platform, this is what the outputs are, and we're looking at the applicant trends year over year. So then you can see the percentage of change that you've had in terms of the applicants that you've been able to engage and who've applied to your roles. When we scroll down is where we're looking at what what are the engagement channels that drove that level of output? And we look at it across four dimensions. The first, we're looking at your brand reach. Does that basically what that means is looking at your feed, the feed content that you've posted. How many impressions have you gotten from the feed? But then also, what is a top performing post from that feed? And so you can then be able to understand from a feed perspective what's been working, what hasn't been working. Then next, we're looking at jobs conversion. You'll see the number of jobs that you've posted, the job views, and also the top jobs that you've had that you've posted. Messaging engagement, the number of messages that were sent. And what's interesting here is you'll look at the candidates who've received your messages, the candidates who have opened them, and then also your click rate. And you'll look at your outreach performance here as well from a school perspective. And then lastly, you'll see your events and fairs impact. So how many events and fairs have you participated in, the total number of attendees, and then also your best event ROI. The really interesting thing here as well is that below you'll also get some key insights. And so you won't just see data, you'll be able to see the data and understand what the key insight is as well that we want you to gather from the data itself. And we can continue to scroll up. And then if you want to see a different view, we can go into our channel insights and see that section. Within Channel Insights, you can continue to get deeper dives within Channel Insights. And so it's not just this one page, you'll look across four as well. For purposes of this conversation, we'll look at your brand health as more of an example. Your brand health is then basically how is your brand reach trending and how does your feed content contribute to your brand resonance and your followership? And so we're looking at your content impression, your engagement rate, your page views. Want to ensure that I remind you all, you can continue to look at basically what do we mean when we say page views. This is where we're giving you the description as well so you can follow what our metrics are. And then lastly, we can scroll up to the final section, which is our school insights. School insights is where we will particularly see which schools are driving the strongest engagement in our applicant outcomes. This is very important, as we know from our employers, to see where are we actually getting more of the candidates who are reaching us, engaging. You'll look at your application rate. And so you'll be able to see if you all have like potentially a core school list from our core school list, how are our schools doing here? Or if you want to continue to expand your reach of the schools that you're engaged with, you can be able to then see from these top schools, which schools are very much engaged with our brand, which schools are applying to our role. So then you can think about how do we really think of building more of a school strategy based off what we have here on our school table and students who are very interested from those schools who are applying to our opportunities. And so at the end of the day, this is more about helping you move and hire faster, expand your reach, and really defend your strategy with data. I will share my screen here. And so just to end here at Handshake, we continue to really invest heavily in our product to ensure our customers don't just use it, they really see and feel the impact of their early talent programs. And so we really stay close to your needs. We continue to listen, refine, and build intentionally with recruiting teams like yours in mind. And that investment truly has translated into results for our enterprise customers. Enterprise customers hire 30% faster than basic. They see about 9x more event attendees, and 80% of employers consider Handshake their preferred or top platform for early talent recruiting. And so these aren't just metrics, they're outcomes truly driven by smarter prioritization, stronger engagement, and better visibility, which is what we want to ensure that you all can experience with our partnership. And these are the same results we want to see with you too if you also choose to partner with Enterprise. All right, everyone. Great to meet you all. Any questions, just always reach out to your account team, but excited that we were here and look forward to our continued partnership.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate the time. See ya.